Davis, and let me change one thing about this audio. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am glad that you guys made it today. It's Tuesday. It's National Coffee Day, if that means anything to anybody. And so, welcome to Chalk Talk. So, today we have a few things I want to get into. It's been a busy week. Already this morning, the NFL has issued a statement about the Titans and the Vikings. It seems that on Tuesday morning, which would be today, the Titans' COVID testing results returned 3 new player positives and 5 new personnel positives. So the Titans will suspend in-person club activity starting today. Likewise, the Vikings, who played the Titans on Sunday, will also suspend in-person club activities. Both clubs are working closely with the NFL and the NFLPA, and are in the league's infectious disease experts to, evaluate close contacts and perform additional testing. For those of you who follow the Houston Texans, one of the things that makes this interesting is that the Texans' next opponent is the Minnesota Vikings. They play here in Houston on Sunday at NRG Stadium. So we will keep an eye on this development. The league has done pretty well so far without having an outbreak or issues. So we'll keep our eye on that and let you know really what we find out. So that was, that came out about an hour and a half ago. Let me do something while we talk. So we have completed 3 full weeks in the National Football League, and the Houston Texans are 0-3. Now I'm going to say something that you guys don't hear me say a whole lot. Well, you might, but it's way too early to jump off the bandwagon. And not that you have to be on the bandwagon, but 3 weeks, there's still a lot of football left to be played. I know I sound like a coach. Oh my goodness. But the Texans played 2 of arguably the top 4 teams in the league to start the season. All right. Then last week they played on Sunday a Pittsburgh team that's no slouch. Now, granted, the Texans have not looked great. There have been some moments. One of the things that we're clear about with this Texans team is that they're going to have to find a way to protect Deshaun Watson. And for those of you who are saying, he holds on to the ball too long. Yeah, he might. He could probably do a little better in that regard, but I don't think it's as simple as that. I think that I'm sorry, I'm trying to add something on this other camera. Okay. Here we go. He could release the ball a little quicker, but he has done a good job of extending the plays, and they've not done a very good job of protecting him. They're not running the ball well. The offense does not have a lot of imagination. But here's the other thing that I think it's important to remember. It is important to remember that this team none of the teams have had preseason. And so while we think maybe preseason is not that important, I would say that preseason is pretty important. We've seen injuries. I think that you have to take that into account. There's nothing that replaces live action. The game, you can't simulate you can't develop a practice that looks just like a game with the speed and the intensity that takes place. You just can't do it. Nothing does that but actually playing. So they missed preseason, definitely. And I'm sorry, that amazes me. So yeah, preseason is something that I think all the teams have missed, and I think that they've seen it in just how they play. The fact that you've seen some unfortunate injuries, season-ending injuries, and I think until you have about 5 or 6 games played, you're not really going to know how teams are going to shake out. Okay, I've got to grab Angel. Come on. She today has decided she wants to be a part of Chalk Talk. You're just not going to know how teams are going to look. Now, it doesn't mean that this Texans team is going to be great. They are not going to be 0-16. You know, they have had moments. They've got to do a few things. They're going to have to figure out how to stop the run, especially late in the game. That's really important. And they're going to have to also figure out how to run the ball themselves and how to protect Deshaun Watson, because he's been hit 13 times already through the first 3 games, or sacked. That's just way too much. That's not good for him in terms of the season, in terms of his health. So they have some things obviously that they have to work on. There were some moments, and in the first half, the team looked pretty good. One of the things I did after the game in the post game is I did ask, Bill O'Brien if he, um, I asked him about, I asked him his thoughts about. I was trying to find that audio for you. I asked him his thoughts. I said, "Listen, was it something, Bill, that the Steelers did at halftime in terms of adjustments, or was it something that was it a matter of the Texans just not really being able to execute?" So I, you know, he said it's a good question. The Steelers do what they do. And so, of course, that was Sunday. It was after the game. And so he hadn't watched film yet. Good morning, Miss Carolyn. Welcome, welcome. Good morning, Charles. Thank you guys for being here. And good morning, JY. Welcome, welcome. Was it a matter of not making the adjustment? There's so many questions, and so it's easy 3 weeks in to say, oh my gosh, this team is not going to be great. Well, I think we probably knew they weren't going to. I felt like they weren't going to be great from the beginning, but I don't think they're going to be the team that we've seen for 0-3. They've had slow starts before. This team has historically done this, especially under Bill O'Brien. And so this weekend, they're set to play the Vikings, another team also 0-3. The Vikings have lost a couple of coaches, especially Sunday to the Titans. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, the Vikings right now are checking, to make sure that they don't have any players that were infected, because the Titans had all these positive tests, 3 players, 5 personnel. So yeah, we'll see if that has any kind of effect on the game this weekend. Hopefully that there are no Vikings players, not because of the Texans game, but just in general, who have tested positive, and that they can do the contact tracing with the Titans and get that under control. This COVID thing, you guys, it's no joke. And I say that as we talk about football, but really as a reminder, I think that because we've been in this space for so long, right? What are we going on? 9 months, maybe 7, 8 months. It's been quite a while, and we're probably tired of it. You're like, I feel okay. Things are opening up. I want to move around, but I just want to remind you and encourage you to continue to practice the best protocols, right? Wear your mask, practice social distancing, avoid crowds. I think that's really, really important, because we still are not on the other side. The virus is still raging. We're still we're still losing way too many lives every day. Yesterday, an unfortunate milestone was hit internationally. Over 1 million people have died from COVID. Of course, we know here in the United States, we are over the 200,000 loss of life mark, and that's not good. Those are not the kind of numbers we want to lead. So while the United States has what 4% of the world's population, we have 20% of the COVID deaths. So I just want to encourage you to hang in there. It will not be in this place forever, but it is so important to be vigilant and let me raise this up a little bit, to be vigilant and just to stay focused and hang in there until we get to the other side. Hopefully some new leadership in January, and and a plan, a real unified national plan, and then of course sometime next year, a vaccine. But until we get the vaccine, we still have got to find a way to flatten this curve, and the only way we can do it is by wearing masks, practicing social distancing, and also, practicing really good hygiene, washing your hands. And the other thing is we're headed into flu season. So make sure that you're, taking very good care of your immune system, that you're taking your vitamin C or whatever you do for your immune system to try to stay as healthy as possible. I just wanted to throw that in. All right. So as we talk about what's happening around the National Football League, I want to talk a little bit about basketball. All right. The Houston Rockets have not yet hired a new coach, right? They're looking for a coach. And on yesterday, Doc Rivers was fired by the Los Angeles Clippers. Yeah, I can't say that I'm terribly surprised. I understand it. I like Doc a lot, but if you're the owner and you've basically been in this place before, you're like, okay, we've blown 3-1, leads a couple times now. I went out and got the players and made all the deals that we said was necessary, and we still are home. We didn't get to the conference finals. We obviously didn't play for the championship. And so what do you do? And so they got rid of Doc Rivers. And so I understand. I mean, it's tough when somebody gets fired, especially somebody you like. But I remember when Kevin McHale was the coach of the Houston Rockets, and 11 games into the season, before Mike D'Antoni, the Rockets got off to a horrible start, right? And Les Alexander fired Kevin McHale. And he said, listen, I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I had to do something, right? So what is the thing you do? You move the coach because it's difficult. He just brought in these players. Do you think, okay, I can't make all these personnel moves, but what I can do is change the coach. Maybe it just needs to be a different leader. And so, unfortunately, that was the end for Doc. But now he's on the market if he still wants to coach. And there's talk that maybe he is a candidate. He is somebody that Tillman Fertitta will look at to coach the Houston Rockets. It would give Tillman a chance to hire a championship coach. Doc has one, does have an NBA championship as a head coach. And so, he's available. Of course, we still keep hearing about Jeff Van Gundy, which amazes me. I mean, does he really want to coach? I guess so, because every time there's a Rockets opening, Jeff Van Gundy's name is in the mix, and we hear Ty Lue. Now, Ty Lue's name has also been mentioned for the Philadelphia 76ers job, although there's some who say that job is, Mike D'Antoni's if he wants it. So we'll see. I mean, I think this is so much uncertainty. What we do know is that there is a finals. We do have a finals matchup set. It is the Miami Heat and the LA Lakers. And so it will be LeBron James James is in his 10th NBA final, and he's trying to win a championship with his third team. There are two other players to do that, I believe. I believe John Sally and Robert Horry. Of course, they were role players when they did it, and this would be a first for LeBron. Obviously, he will have won with the Miami Heat, with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and if he can lead the Lakers to a victory, then with the Los Angeles Lakers. So, we'll see what happens. Clearly the Lakers are the favorite, but you know what? You got to play the game. That's what we know. So That is what's happening around the National Basketball Association. Okay. Um, and in terms of Major League Baseball, it is time for postseason. The Astros released their wild card series roster earlier, which is their postseason roster, and so um, it's that time of year, right? I wanted to pull up something else. Okay, so we'll see. This has been anything but a normal season, right? It has been to say it's been abnormal or just had extreme circumstances is it would be a stretch, but it's postseason. We are here, and we'll see what the Astros do. Um, Carolyn says the O line, you're talking about the Texans, is terrible. Bill does not make adjustments. Does he know how? You know, like Bill O'Brien said, the Steelers are who they are. I mean, Bill O'Brien is who he is, and we've seen who he is the past 7 years. Um, you know, I don't know. It's at this point. Listen, Bill O'Brien's going to be here for the foreseeable future. He's not going anywhere. He is the coach. He is the general manager. He's at the top of the food chain over there at NRG. I mean, he doesn't own the team, but he clearly has a lot of authority. And so I don't know, Carolyn. I think he has. I think we've seen over the years that he has not done a great job of making adjustments, and we did see Pittsburgh make some on Sunday. And we could also say, well, maybe just the Texans have got to execute better, and they do, but they probably need to make some different adjustments. I really can't call it. They will get in the winning column. I think this weekend is probably a good time for them. To get a win. I know they really need one. And while everyone is saying no, we're not panicking. 0-3. There's a lot of games left, but you don't want to go 0-4, right? You want to get a win. It's time to get in the win column and start pushing ahead. So we shall see. Charles says Doc shouldn't have been fired. He's a really good coach. Yeah, he is a really good coach, but when you're All right, is that better? Sometimes I can see when I'm frozen, but I couldn't there. So let me know if I have come back on, Miss Carolyn, and if you can hear me now. Because I don't see it on my end. Sometimes I can see it, but I have a strong signal and it looks like everything's fine. So, all right. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you. So, yeah, here's the deal. The Trump administration and his crew wants you to talk about anything but the coronavirus. Oh, yeah. And maybe the taxes, maybe the fact that the New York Times got copies of his tax returns, and it was what most people thought, that he hadn't paid any taxes. I think he paid $750 dollars, and then in the past 10 of the past 15 years, he didn't pay any federal taxes. He has a lot of debt. He like hundreds of millions of dollars in debt will come due next year. I mean, it's just a very bleak situation, and it's not the financial scenario you want for the leader of your country, because he's incredibly compromised. I think we've seen in how he's managed. He obviously doesn't manage business and money well, but the fact that he has all this debt coming due, who's it to? That was the whole thing about why you need to see the tax returns. And yet there are people who still say, oh well, it doesn't matter. you know but here's what I mention all this so that, yes, the debates tonight, but more importantly, the deadline to register in the state of Texas is next Monday. So if you have not registered, get registered. Texas is in play. There's a senatorial race in this state. If you are pleased with the way that your senator has represented the state and responded and not held the president accountable, if you're okay with that, then you will likely support and vote for John Cornyn. If you're not, there's another choice. And so what I say is, don't get caught not being ready. Get registered. Get registered to vote. Early voting starts in this state on October 13th. Go vote in person. You know, while the state is playing around and going back and forth about mail-in ballots, listen, I know we're in a pandemic. We just have to take the precautions that are necessary. Wear your mask. Maybe you put some gloves on. Go early, prepare to be in line, and cast your ballot. It's just what we have to do. That's what I'm going to do. And that's what I encourage you to do as well. This is vote. The vote matters. And not just for the court. I mean, it matters for so many things, but definitely for the court. The Affordable Care Act is a goner with this president, and obviously with the Supreme Court judge, they're gonna ram through and put on the bench. And so that means no pre-existing conditions. So in addition to all the pre-existing conditions that were already in existence, now more than 6 million people who've had coronavirus will have a pre-existing condition and will not be able to be covered for it. And that's 6 million plus as of today. We're not done yet. And if this person is still in office, who knows when we will really, are we talking next summer before we start to see things flatten? How many lives will be lost? How many other people will survive it but have pre-existing conditions that they can't be covered for? Y'all, this is real stuff. So I just want you to think about it. I want you to be prepared, and I want you to be registered and participate. When I see people, there's a guy, and I'm just going to say his name. His name's Eddie Glaude Jr., and he's a professor and an intellectual. And when I see him online now talking about there are only two choices, I just can't with him. I don't follow him, but somebody that I follow may retweet him or something, because I had to unfollow him after the 2016 election, because he was one of those that just intellectually, he couldn't bring himself to pull the lever for Hillary Clinton. And here, when I say he's intellectual, so he knew the court was in play. Like, I've been talking about the fact that it was really about the court. It's not about whether Hillary Clinton was a perfect candidate, and we can't go back and then do that. But I just think it's interesting for some people now to act like me, and this is so important. It doesn't matter about the things you don't like. Doesn't matter now. So great for him. That move got him I think, a whole lot more time on MSNBC. He's got a book, you know. But keep the main thing, y'all. The main thing is we need leadership. We need a complete administration, and we've got to get rid of this Justice Department. We've got to get rid of, look, Bill Barr. If Donald Trump is in office, that's what you like, then you get the AG Bill Barr, so you can stop talking about real criminal justice and police that are rogue and killing people. Let me be specific: killing Black people, unarmed, in their beds. Any of that's changing under this justice. Tell. Okay. I will see it freezing up when I'm frozen. But here we go. Okay. So at any rate, hopefully I am back. I just reloaded the page. That's really all I can do. Shh. I know. I think you got her. I think you told them to go in their own house. Freezing periodically. Okay, thanks, Charles. It is one of those days, right? And it's 2020. I haven't really had a problem with freezing in quite some time. I have like the highest possible internet speed, but those things happen. So listen, it's 11:39. I am going to wrap up a little bit early today so that I can go and get my mom to the doctor. And so I will jump on again later this week. I'm going to probably jump on an IG live and chat with you guys. And I may jump back on Facebook as well. I'll let you know. But in the meantime, make sure you get registered to vote. Make sure you, thanks, Charles. Make sure you get registered to vote. Make sure you're practicing social distancing, and make sure you're using really good hygiene. Okay, that's super important. And y'all, look, buckle up. It's about to be flu season. Eat well, lots of fruits and vegetables, stay hydrated, try to avoid the sugar, all those things that we know we should be doing. It's not about losing weight, it's about being healthy. We need to be healthy and protect our immune systems. And we need to be ready for this fight ahead of us, because it's going to be a fight. Whatever happens November 3rd, 4th, 5th, or whenever we know who the next president is, there is going to be some chaos, and we just need to be all ready for it. And the way that you can do that is to bring your best self to the table. Be as healthy and prepared and informed as you can. So that's going to do it for me today. As I mentioned, I'm going to jump off early. I'm going to go take my mom to the doctor. And I will see you guys later in the week, probably on IG. I'm going to jump on and start doing some little snippet live conversations, 5-10 minutes. and and then reserve the longer ones and the longer interviews for our Tuesday show. So thank you guys as always for being a part of Chalk Talk. Thanks for bearing with me today with me freezing up. I don't know how or why that was the case, but it is what it is, right? Everybody's on the internet, but I usually don't have any problems because I have a lot of speed on this end. So thank you guys. Have a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday, or actually sooner, on Instagram Live, and maybe even on Twitter. I'll be tweeting tonight during the during the debate. And so join me if you like to see what I think. All right. You guys stay well. You too, Charles. Have a great, great day. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you for being a part of Chalk Talk. Remember, do something kind for yourself and do something kind for somebody else. Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Kim White Davis and on Instagram